Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce GTX 1066GB model in GTA 5 Enhanced. This one is the MSI Gaming X version of the card. I am running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Up's GPU-Z, and over on the left, I am pairing it with the i5-12600KF CPU and 32GB of RAM. These are very overkill, I know, but as long as you don't bottleneck the card, you should achieve the same FPS. Let's get into it, shall we? But let's go over the settings first. I am starting at 1080p resolution using the very high settings preset. I will change one thing here, which is the motion blur. I will disable that because, you know, nobody likes motion. Well, some people do. You're crazy. But I don't, so I'll just disable it here, okay? And everything else is left as is with the very high preset, which is not maximum settings in this game, alright? There's still a couple of settings that could go higher. Anyway, as you can see here with the GTX 1060, this game actually runs pretty decently, you know, 60s, 70s. It will inevitably drop, of course, into the 50s, but I guess if you want to play this game at very high settings, the 1060 is still a capable card of doing so. Obviously, in the previous legacy version of GTA 5, if you want to play that instead, you can actually max it out and achieve higher FPS than these, aside from MSAA. The anti-aliasing is very intensive there, but yeah, here with TAA and very high preset, it works just fine, as it should for a 2015 title, really. Although with the enhanced edition, it has some differences in the graphics fidelity and stuff like that, you know, some additions as well to the graphics settings. But yeah, if you want to play online with other people playing the enhanced edition, well, you actually will need to run the enhanced edition, so it's good to see that the GTX 1060 still has what it takes to handle this game just fine. Okay, you know what? It was Bob's wife, so nobody cares about that. Driving through the city is absolutely no problem for a GTX 1060. Also, keep in mind you will need a CPU that's powerful enough to keep that GPU utilization at 99% all of the time, which is not a very hard thing to do, honestly. If you have like an i7 6th gen or something like that, you should be able to max out the 1060 in the story mode. Online is much more CPU intensive, by the way. Anyway, hello Jacqueline, how's it go? Or is it Jackie? I think it's Jacqueline over here. Yes, I love you too, Jacqueline. You know, I forgive you for cheating on Jack, actually, with Bob. It wasn't her fault, obviously. Bob is a demon, my friend. We gotta kill that bastard. Anyway, around here, obviously, it will start dropping into the 40s. It's not a big drop in performance, you know. Goodbye, Bob! There we go. Beautiful stuff. But yeah, there is still definitely a drop in performance near bushy areas and vegetation and near Bob, basically. So you might want to stay away from Bob or just go there and kill him and never come back. Yeah, it's definitely manageable. You can still play like this absolutely fine and have a blast doing so with the GTX 1060. It's great to see, you know, because this is one of the most popular games ever, I guess, and you can still play the enhanced version on a GTX 1060 from 2016. This is 9 years old at this point. It's really cheap these days. Stop it. In the used market, you know, you can find it for what, like 70 bucks, 60 bucks sometimes. I actually sold a GTX 1060 that I had a spare 1060 for 70 bucks. So yeah, you can have fun, a lot of fun actually, with this GPU, even though it's old at this point. It's almost a decade old. That's really hard to wrap my head around, actually. I remember buying this GPU, the one that I'm using right now, in 2016. It was the first GPU that I bought brand new. I actually wanted the RX 480 first, but that was out of stock everywhere. It was a little bit cheaper than this. So I ended up going with the 1060, and I still have it here, and it's still playing games to this day. It only struggles with recent releases, obviously. Nearly 69 FPS average, by the way. It was almost a very nice experience. But since it wasn't a very nice experience, because, you know, it just missed 69 there, I'm gonna drop it down to high settings, just like I did with the RX 580, by the way. This will still keep the overall look pretty much the same, actually. It just lowers a couple of settings here and there. And obviously, since we were actually very close to getting 60 plus 100% of the time, I think we will have 60 plus FPS 100% of the time this time around. So we're good to test like higher resolutions next. I'm still gonna restart the game, by the way, because I want to make sure that every single setting applies properly. Also, guys, I tried the little GTX 750 Ti earlier today, and unfortunately it just crashes on launch. So yeah, I think it's the end for a little 750 Ti, maybe, unless there's like a DLL file or something like that that fixes it. Let me know down in the comments if you know anything about it. But anyway, this is it, guys. What is happening here? Hello? Hi? What is going on? Why are you running away from your car? Where is your car now? Did somebody steal it, actually? Probably. Anyway, let's start counting our FPS here. We're getting 100 frames per second, quite a bit faster than what we saw previously. Was her car red? I think maybe it was that one. I don't think it was as good as this one, though. But anyway, maybe it was that one. Or this one. Yes, I think it was this one. Goodbye. She's dead, actually, that one. Anyway, as we were saying, performance is quite good at this moment, guys. 100 FPS average almost. Really good stuff. And this time around, it won't really drop from 60 frames per second anymore near Jack's Hill. Also, I'm ruining my headlights. I had those on, but I don't think they're working anymore. Yes, definitely aren't now. So if you're disappointed by not having a high refresh rate experience anymore in this game after the enhanced update, you know, you had that previously in the legacy version, but now it's more intensive on the GPU side of things. Well, you can just select the high settings preset and it disables motion blur by default, by the way. Very nice. And have that high refresh rate experience once again. You know, you will need a little bit beefier of a CPU to achieve higher FPS, of course, these 100s that we're seeing, but I think once again like an i7 6700K or something like that should still be capable of achieving these FPS and performance. After all, the game is only utilizing like 20% of our 12600KF CPU. It relies a lot on single core performance, of course, but it's fast enough on those old i7s. Hello, Jack, how's it going? This is beautiful. Okay, we saw Jacqueline, we saw Jack now. Let's see if Bob is there still, by the way, because sometimes that bastard runs away. I mean, if he isn't, it's because we killed him already, right? But he is there. He is there. Yes, bastard. Goodbye, Bob. Hey, there we go, my friends. You know what? He's the reason why all of the newer titles are performing kind of poorly these days. It's probably the maker of UE5, actually. Although UE5 can be optimized, I see a lot of people getting mad at me because I usually say, yeah, UE5 sucks and stuff, but it's not UE5 that sucks, it's the developers that don't really know how to optimize it, I guess. We've seen a couple of games based on UE5 that are actually running really well, like the finals, for example, and maybe another one. So yeah, it can be optimized. It's just that most developers, since it's an easier engine to code in and make games on, they just skimp on optimization, really. I got tired of the really nice weather, guys. Here we go. We got thundery weather, which usually drops our FPS quite a bit whenever there's a thunder on screen. Lightning, actually, and lightning strike, yes. As you can see there, it dropped to like 80s. Yeah, so it fluctuates a bit more than usual when it's thundery weather, by the way. Look at that. 84, 83 once again. Oh my goodness. And we're back to hundreds whenever the lightning strikes are off screen. I thought it was because of the ray tracing, you know, the lighting coming from the lightning strikes and like reflecting off everything, and I thought it was dropping our FPS on the 5070 Ti video, yesterday's video, because of ray tracing being on, but apparently it's just the enhanced edition. There's something with the lighting that with the thundery weather it drops your FPS by quite a bit. And I'm just gonna make it rain again because I love this now. Okay, it's still raining, but it's daytime, it's bright, it's vibrant, it has a ton of reflections, right? And it's just lovely in my opinion, like this. Even without the ray tracing, we still got some decent looking reflections, not as accurate as the ray traced ones, of course, but they're still decent looking. And we still had that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this car this time around. We got a friend as well. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Thank you, buddy. I wanted to be your friend, dude. Okay. So sorry, sir. I didn't mean to do that. I was talking to your friend, not paying attention. But yeah, as you can see now, with this weather, lots of rain, lots of reflections and lighting, you know, it actually has the same FPS as the Thunders. That's pretty insane. 80s sometimes, 90s on average at the moment, 78, 1% lows right there. Oh boy, it's a little bit harder to drive like this in this weather. What is Bob's car, by the way? I'd like to know that, you know. Maybe this one, yes. This is definitely Bob's car. Goodbye, Bob, by the way. Or no, this is probably Bob's friend driving his truck. Goodbye, Bob. Okay, stay there. It's really smooth, by the way. No problems whatsoever. It still feels like high refresh rate. 90 FPS will feel a lot better than 60 FPS, you know, and more responsive. It's great. It's a great experience with high settings at 1080p resolution. And we should probably move on to 1440p because I think this can handle it. Here we go, 2560 by 1440 resolution, utilizing the same high preset. As you can see, at 1440p, under extreme weather conditions, for the FPS at least, it's still getting 60 frames per second. That's quite nice, once again. So if you want to play online with 1440p resolution and a GTX 1060, it still will work absolutely fine in enhanced. Alright, obviously the legacy version was going to run way smoother than this, especially if you kept things on high. It would be 100 FPS or something like that, and it would also look really good at the same time, so a little bit of a shame there, but you can still enjoy it with your friends if you have friends playing the enhanced edition with better specs and stuff like that. Like 1060 can handle it. You aren't going to be at a big disadvantage, especially at 1080p. You aren't going to be at a disadvantage at all. But here at the 1440p resolution, well, it drops sometimes into the 50s, and I think, of course, it will drop a little bit further in Jack's Hill. However, since the Enhanced Edition doesn't drop as much near grass, it will still be fine, guys. Absolutely. Also, we still haven't found a green car, I believe. I saw one back there, but it was going to take a really long time for me to do a U-turn, so I can't. Okay. Also, this area is usually pretty intensive as well, so let's go in this direction. You know what? I like your car. Lady, please, no. Oh, boy. Grabbing Bob's car was a big mistake. It sucks. Over here in these roads with this weather, it actually looks really nice, guys. All right. I am liking this, even though I can see a lot of popping on the reflections and stuff like that because, well, we're not running ray tracing and the extended view distance isn't really being utilized right now, but yeah, it still looks really good. Oh boy! You can't do that, dude! Are you serious? Hello, Jack. Oh my goodness. He's still here, waiting for us, even in the rain. That's how much he loves us, and he's telling us that. Thank you so much, Jack. I love you too. Okay, 60 average so far. Pretty good stuff. I wouldn't really drop it down from high settings, even though it drops into the 50s and 40s, as you can see. Yeah, Bob is not here, by the way. Yeah, I would still keep it on high because it still feels good and it looks great. And on normal settings, which are the lowest settings in this game, it would just look really bad, honestly. So yeah, just play like this at 1440p resolution and you'll have a lot of fun. There's also the option to play with some frame scaling here. So if you want 60 plus FPS all of the time, unfortunately, FSR3 isn't going to achieve that. As you can see, it is actually performing pretty much the same as it was on native resolution, just with a lower resolution scale, maybe a little bit higher, like a couple of FPS, but it's pretty much the same thing, alright? Like we've seen with the GTX 1080 Ti as well, and the RX 580, these old GPUs just don't seem to be working very well in GTA Enhanced with FSR3. But FSR1 on ultra quality actually does work pretty well here with these GPUs, and as you can see, instead of getting 60 FPS, this is getting 70-ish FPS. It is a bit softer though, that's a little bit of a shame, but if you want that 60 plus FPS experience all of the time, I think it's a worthy trade-off, I guess, because compared to lowering the settings down to normal to achieve those 60 plus, this is a little bit less of a compromise in my opinion. So yeah, it will still look good overall and a little bit sharper than other titles running at native resolution with worse implementations of TAA, I guess. This isn't really the worst implementation of TAA. Now let's disable frame scaling altogether and anti-aliasing as well. Alright, and let's go up to the 4K resolution. It actually runs out of VRAM there, as you can see. This is on the red now, so I'm wondering if it will start stuttering a bit. Here we go, 3840 by 2160 is now applied, still on the high preset, and yep, it's getting 30s here. It's really similar to what the RX 580 did here in this title, actually. 30 FPS plus most of the time, I guess, while driving through the city and stuff. With this weather, which is pretty nice indeed, actually. Yeah, that's not too bad, but obviously inside of vegetation areas like Bob's bushes, yes, it will drop quite a bit. I guess maybe it's slightly faster than the RX 580, just a little bit. Yeah, over here 28, 27, it's still pretty much the same experience though between the two of them, so both GPUs are doing a decent job here at 4K resolution. Hi Jacqueline, how are you going? Everything all right? But yeah, I think the 1060 might be doing just a little bit better in the RX 580 in this particular title. Let's go down here. Yeah, both are pretty crappy though when it comes to Bob's bushes or rendering Bob's bushes, you know. He's a very hairy, I mean, he has a lot of vegetation, yes. Now, once again, FSR3 won't really be your friend here in GTA 5 Enhanced with a GPU this old, but FSR1 will, and I think we should try it on quality here. Pretty good, actually. It's a bit over-sharpened, a bit pixelated and shimmery because we don't have that TAA enabled. You might actually prefer this look to the TAA look, actually, but in my opinion it gets a bit too aliased, especially around like palm trees and stuff like that. Finer lines, basically. Those finer lines are just going to be completely wrecked here with the quality FSR. Look at the ground right there. Yeah, super aliased, right? So not amazing really, but if we enable that TAA, here we go, sharpness set to the maximum as well, it gets rid of all of those pixelated messes and shimmery messes. So it's quite a bit better, I think. It also lowers your FPS by a little bit compared to having TAA off, but I think it helps it in terms of visual fidelity here, especially at 4K resolution. It will look really good, and it stays above 40 FPS, maybe like 30 FPS is going to be the minimum in Bob's bushes, but yeah, pretty good stuff over here. Look at that. That looks nice, guys. Character models is the worst thing actually in this title. Everything else, like the world, the lighting right now in Enhanced Edition, is pretty cool in my opinion, guys. Alright, however, the legacy version was still very similar. Okay, there are some improvements for sure, but it's a bit underwhelming. Alright, I actually thought it was going to look quite a lot better previously, especially with all of the ray tracing turned on with higher end GPUs. Basically, I am very happy and a little bit sad at the same time. I'm super happy that I get to test all of these GPUs again in the new version of GTA 5 because I really like testing this game. But at the same time, I think the improvements should have been a lot bigger. You know what? That's probably about it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.